Welcome to Meditation Made Easy. I'm your host, Mary O'Malley, and we will be exploring how to bring this wonderful gift into our lives. We hear so much about meditation and how many far-reaching and long-lasting benefits it can bring into our lives. It lowers our stress levels, dramatically affecting our health. We get to know our pain, so we're not so reactive to it. We're much more calm in stressful situations. We're also more creative. And last but not least, we're kinder to ourselves. But most people, when they try meditation, they don't stay with it. This is probably because there are so many preconceptions about meditation. Oh, it's about stopping thought, or you must meditate twice a day, or meditation can only be done while sitting, or you have to sit for a long period of time, or you have to sit cross-legged, or an agitated meditation is a bad meditation. Welcome to Meditation Made Easy. I want to introduce you to this wonderful skill in a way that will make it easy to bring it into your life. The kind of meditation I'm talking about isn't about trying to become a different person or get to better states or get rid of the ones you don't like. It's all about training in the art of curiosity. You're not trying to stop feelings or thoughts or even painful sensations. It's all about learning how to observe them without reaction, without judgment. So eventually, you can learn how to unhook from your addiction, our addiction, to struggling with life. I love metaphors. And one of my favorites is the ocean of being. Oh, just imagine the most beautiful ocean you could ever imagine. And we were born out of that ocean of being. We lived in that ocean of being for a short period of time when we were growing up. But slowly and surely, thoughts began to fill up our head. And a small opaque bubble showed up on that ocean. And that is what I call the bubble of struggle. We crawled into this bubble of struggle. And this bubble is opaque. It comes to a time in our life where we can no longer connect or even see the ocean of being that we truly are. And in that bubble, we struggle with big things and we struggle with little things. We struggle with how our hair looks today, with the secret belief that it doesn't look right, then we won't be accepted, which is one of the core fears that we all carry. We struggle with the length of the stoplight, fearing that because we'll be late, we will be judged. We struggle with the fear of a possible terminal diagnosis. We struggle with the belief that we're not smart enough, or tall enough, or beautiful enough, or skinny enough, or just enough. I have worked with people for over 35 years, and we all live in a mind that struggles with life, feeling we are coming up short. How do you learn how to unhook from struggle so that you can know the joy of being present for your life? It happens in learning how to strengthen the muscle of your attention. So I want you to do something with me. Take your finger, bring it up, maybe your index finger in one of your hands, and bring it up into the air in front of you, and just have that finger do loop-de-loops and have it go up and down and this side and that side and around and around and around. This finger represents the 65,000 thoughts you have a day. And right now, your attention basically follows your thoughts wherever they go. So here's the finger, and just have your whole body just kind of follow this. And if your thoughts say you're sad, you think you're sad. If they say you're mad, you think you're mad. But you are not the contents of your mind. You are that which can see what thought is doing inside of you. And I want to say that again because this is very important. You are not the contents of your mind. You are that which can see what thought is doing. But you need to cultivate the ability to relate to the thoughts in your head rather than always being lost to them. How do you do that? Well, go back to the finger thing. Really just get into this, up and down and all around, and have your whole body following them. And then, keeping the finger moving, bring your attention off of the finger and notice something in front of you. Really see it. It could be a wall, it could be a plant, it could be a lamp, it could be a person. And then bring your attention back to your finger. And just get lost get lost in thoughts, following them wherever they go, and then keeping the finger going, pull your attention out of the finger and notice something that's outside of the world of thought. Ground yourself there. And then, of course, you'll go back right into the finger again. This is one of the core things that we are exploring together. By choosing a focus that's outside of the world of thought, like your breath or the sensations in your body or the sounds around you, and then bringing your attention back to it when it goes back into your thoughts, you strengthen the muscle of your attention. Let's say you're just noticing your breath and, just rising and falling and rising and falling. And all of a sudden you recognize a minute later that you've left the breath. And now you're paying attention to your thoughts. But in this webinar, you will learn how to bring your attention back without judging that you went away. And more you will learn how to anchor yourself in life rather than having the center of your world be the thoughts in your head. So think of meditation as exercising a weak muscle, the muscle of your attention, because it follows thought wherever it goes. But every time you notice you're lost in thought and bring it back to your focus, you strengthen it. As you give yourself a few minutes every day to choose a focus, and then when your attention goes back into thought, you return to your focus. The more you do this, you see there's no reason to judge that you wandered off. Thinking is as natural as breathing. But we get into trouble. We almost exclusively pay attention to what our thoughts are saying. And we've only been doing this for most of our lives. So, when you notice your attention is back in the world of thoughts, you simply say to yourself, thinking. And then bring your attention back to your focus as kindly as you can, with the least amount of force and judgment you can muster. Be not dismayed at how strong our addiction is to thinking our way through our lives. Most people give up on meditation when they don't understand that meditation isn't about stopping thoughts. Thoughts will come and grab your attention over and over again when you meditate. The key is to simply, kindly return your attention to your focus. Some days it will be easier to do this than others. But it isn't a bad meditation when your thoughts are stronger than your ability to bring your attention back to your focus. It is just what is. And it's essential to know that just a moment here and a moment there of coming back to your focus is powerfully healing. those kind of moments accumulate. As my core teacher once said, if you sit for an hour and bring your attention back to your focus one time in that hour, that is time well spent. That was total freedom for me. That is when I began sitting every day, because I no longer compared my meditations to some mythical idea of what they should be. I began to show up for what is. And every time you drift back into the world of thought, it's an opportunity to strengthen the muscle of your attention by bringing it back to your focus. And, of course, after a few breaths, your thoughts will grab your attention again. Don't beat yourself up. This is natural. Can you feel the freedom of this? There's no such thing as a perfect meditation. Some days thought will capture your attention more than other days. When I first began meditating, some of my most healing meditations were when my mind had been wandering most of the time. Planning, oh my God, my mind loves to plan. Remembering, fearing, resisting, judging, imagining, and just for a few seconds here and there, I brought my attention back to my focus. Let's say you use your breath as your focus. This is the most primary focus used in meditation. It's powerful because it's always there and it's always changing. There are other things you can use as a focus, but we'll be talking about that later on. So, imagine you're meditating and your attention is noticing your breath. It's recognizing it rising and falling, rising and falling. And then, all of a sudden, a car goes by, and you remember you missed the appointment for the oil change yesterday. Oh, and you feel the shame. Oh, my goodness. And your mind says, oh, I can't go back to that place because they will think I'm stupid. Well, I'll call my friend and see if they know of any other good auto repair businesses. Now, you're caught in thought. You have left your breath for the world of thought. It's really important to notice your breath didn't leave you. You left your breath. Go back to our finger example, and you'll see you're following the finger wherever it goes. But if you don't judge yourself, then it becomes easier to bring your attention back to your focus, strengthening your muscle enough so that you can slowly learn how to relate to the stories in your head rather than from them. It's like saying, oh my God, I'm so afraid I'll probably screw up the presentation at work tomorrow. And then you recognize you're caught in thought. And you say, oh, I see. Fear is talking in my head. Oh my God, there's so much joy that comes from learning how to see and not follow the struggles in your mind. The other amazing thing that happens when you give yourself the gift of strengthening the muscle of your attention for a few minutes every day is you begin to notice there is a huge difference between having your attention caught in the world of thought and having your attention actually here for life. All the while you are thinking about the future and dwelling on the past and worrying and fantasizing, judging, hoping, daydreaming, life in all of its wonder and all of its beauty is unfolding out of mystery both within you and all around you. And yet, most of the time, you are not present here. All we do is think about it. As the beloved Zen teacher Alan Watts once said, no matter how many times you say the word water, it will never be wet. But when you begin to see that you experience life completely differently when your attention is caught in your thoughts or when it is here, that is when you become passionate about discovering how to relate to your thoughts rather than from them. So, let's explore what this looks like. It's always helpful in the beginning of a meditation to use our breath to calm down our busy minds. One of the most powerful breaths you can use, no matter where you are, no matter what is happening, is a long, slow out-breath. You've heard from so many places that it is important to breathe deeply, but when you try to do that, taking in deeper in-breaths, it only creates stress. Try it now and see. It takes effort. And after a few breaths, we give up. But a long, slow out-breath brings calm and ease because it takes no effort, and it is so delicious. It also massages your vagus nerve, which is a key in turning down the fight, flight, or freeze we live in most all the time. And it turns on the calming aspect of our nervous system. So, let's practice strengthening the muscle of your attention, using your breath as the focus. First, by calming your mind and your body with your breath. Close your eyes and notice that breath is happening. There it is, rising and falling, 24,000 times a day. Now, begin to lengthen your out-breath by blowing out through your mouth. Oh, there's so much air left in your lungs. And when you come to the end of your out-breath, then allow an in-breath, no effort. And then that in-breath turns again to an out-breath and lengthen it a bit more as you blow out through your mouth. Don't force this. Don't try to have a very long out-breath because force just tightens things. But lengthen your out-breath just a little bit more and then allow a deeper in-breath. You can stop the recording and stay with this kind of breath as long as it calls to you. And then when you're ready, restart the recording. Now, let go of this kind of breath and allow your breath to be as it wants to be, but be fascinated by it. How do you know that breath is happening? Do you feel it in your upper chest? Do you feel it in the middle part of your body? Does your breath go all the way down into your belly? Does your back move when you breathe? Do your arms move when you breathe? Just being fascinated by the sensations of breath. Wherever it is easiest in your body for you to see breath, bring your attention there and notice how an in-breath opens you up and an out-breath relaxes you. And then there's another in-breath and another out-breath. Ride the waves of your breath. In-breath, turn. out breath, turn, allowing your attention to be fascinated by your breath. When you notice your attention has gone back into the thoughts in your head, maybe it was 2 seconds later, maybe it was 5 minutes later, no judgment. Simply say thinking and bring your attention back to actually experiencing your breath again, rising and falling, rising and falling. If you want to stay with this longer, simply stop the recording and turn it on again when you're done. Before you open your eyes, step back and acknowledge what your mind did with this invitation to notice life, using breath as your focus. And know that whatever happened, even if you wandered the whole time, is exactly what you needed to happen. And by acknowledging it, you are bringing it into consciousness. For the healing we are ready for doesn't come from changing anything. It doesn't come from doing things right. It comes from the ability to see and be with what is. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Now, this is the basic meditation, and you can go back to it over and over again in order to strengthen the muscle of your attention. It's such a wonderful gift to give to yourself for just a few minutes every day. This basic meditation is all about strengthening the muscle of your attention. There's another level of this kind of meditation you can access when your attention muscle becomes stronger. Come back to the finger thing again. Finger going up and down and all around, and then you pull your attention off of the finger and you put it on your focus, and you're there for a second or two, and then back into the finger you go, following it, and then you pull your attention off of the finger and you notice your focus, and then back into the finger. But this time, don't follow it with your whole body. Just follow the finger with your eyes. This is the ability to begin to see what thought is doing. Oh, I'm so afraid. Oh, thought is talking. And that is where the doorway to freedom is. Watching the stream of thought as it moves through us is learning how to see how busy our minds are, how much they believe they must control life, and that they're not doing it good enough or right enough. Watching it means seeing we have all been deeply conditioned, and we absorb this conditioned mind from the people around us, especially our parents, before we were 6. The psychologists say that basically our view of ourselves and our view of life was pretty well formed by the time we were 6. And if you watch it, you will see this conditioned mind is made out of fear and is glued together with judgment. If you doubt that, slow down enough for a day and set a timer to repeatedly go off at random times. And every time the timer dings, become aware of what has been happening in the world of your thoughts, and you will see how afraid they are, how much they judge, oftentimes other people, but that is just the safety release valve for our own self-judgment. See how much this stream of thought is busy trying to do life because it has forgotten how to be life. It is this veil of thought which keeps us separate from an intimate, alive connection with life. Now, I want to do something with your hands that can help you really truly see what we were just talking about. So have your hands resting in front of you in the air, maybe about a foot away, and your fists are curled, but they're not tight; they're just curled. And I want you to see that you have the full view of life. There's nothing that's blocking your view of life. This is what it was like when we were very young, before thoughts began to fill up our chest. And then see one finger begin to arise. It doesn't block much. It blocks a little bit of your view of life. This may be the finger of fear. And then another finger. Maybe this is the finger of anger. And then another finger. This is the finger of self-judgment. And then another finger. Maybe this is the finger of confusion. And then another finger, maybe doubt. Another finger, self-pity. Maybe another finger, helpless, hopeless despair. And pretty soon, we have these fingers that are now putting somewhat of a filter between ourselves and life. Have your fingers spread out on your hands. You can still see life, and this is what it was like, when we were young. But then teenagehood began to come, and the fingers began to become closer together, and the hands began to come closer to our face. And now adulthood is when the fingers are completely together and the hands cover up our eyes. That's what it was like to take on what Eckhart Tolle calls the mind-made me. Our mind made a me when we were growing up. And we think we are this me. And what you and I are exploring here is the ability to notice there is something blocking our view of life. And slowly, as we strengthen the muscle of our attention, the hands begin to move a little bit away, and you begin to see right around the edges, oh my God, there's something else going on other than all these stories about life. And then the hands come right back again. But then the more you give yourself the gift, 5 minutes a day, the hands begin to move out, and you begin to see, oh, there's something between me and life. And then the hands come back. And then the hands go back out again, but they go a little bit further. And you begin to be able to actually see the hands. And you begin to be able to see that each of the fingers represents one of the stories of this storyteller in your head, of this mind-made me. And now see your fingers beginning to expand out again, and see your hands begin to move back as far as you can, as far as your arms will allow you. And now you can see there's very little blocking you from a full and alive experience of life as it is right here, right now. I don't think we'll ever go back fully like we were when we were young, where the hands were down, out of our vision. But because we need our mind for maneuvering through life. It's a wonderful tool for maneuvering through life, but it is not reality. How do we have the hands begin to move out, the fingers separate, and then eventually the hands and arms expand out to the side? By understanding that everything that makes up the fingers on each one of your hands longs to be seen. and to be brought home, the warmth and the caring of your heart. But most of us don't have a lot of space around our thoughts. So in the beginning, it can be hard to see what thought is doing, let alone touch it with compassion. So, before you try to see what each of those fingers represents, it can be very helpful during your meditation when you notice you're lost in thought again and you say, oh, thinking, to notice if your thoughts are in the past or in the future, or if they are just spacing out. And in your meditation, if they're in the past, you squeeze your left hand and say past. If they are in the future, you squeeze your right hand and say future. If it takes more than a split second to see what's happening in the world of your thoughts, you squeeze both hands and say thinking, and then bring your attention back to your breath. I want you to really get the sense that this allows you to get a little bit more space from the stream of thought. So let's try it now. Notice your breath. Give yourself the gift of some long, slow out breaths, blowing out through your mouth slightly without force, extending your out breath a bit. Know there's so much air left in your lungs. And then allowing an in-breath. And there it turns. And then there is the deliciousness of a long, slow out-breath. And then let go of that kind of breathing and just allow your breath to be as it needs to be, but notice the sensations of your breath. And ride the waves. In breath, turn. Out breath, turn. In breath, turn. Out breath, turn. And when you notice your attention has gone back into the world of your thoughts, see if your thoughts are in the past. If so, squeeze your left hand and say past. If they're in the future, squeeze your right hand and say future. If it takes more than a split second to see what's happening in the world of your thoughts, squeeze both hands and say thinking, and then bring your attention back to your breath. In breath, turn. Out breath, turn. If it calls to you, stop the recording and stay with this meditation. And when you're ready, restart it. In breath, turn. Out breath, turn. Now, notice what happened when you receive this invitation to calm yourself with your breath, ground in your breath, and notice what thought was doing when you went back into the world of your thought. No judgment. Know if you even resisted this, that is okay. The urge to stay lost in thought is very, very strong. But this little exercise helps you learn the art of relating to your thoughts rather than from them, so you can lessen your suffering. And when you're ready, open your eyes. The more you strengthen the muscle of your attention, the more you will be able to actually see, name, and touch with compassion the struggles inside of you, the struggles that each finger represents. But the ability to be with really intense sensations, thoughts, and feelings, that takes practice. So don't try to do this in the beginning. You will only get frustrated. Stay with noticing your breath, naming thinking, and recognizing whether your thoughts are in the past or the future or just spacing out. The more you strengthen the muscle, the more you'll be able to be with even really intense sensations, thoughts, and feelings. We will not be exploring how to do this in this class. If you want to go further than this class, I recommend reading my book, What's in the Way is the Way. At the end of each of the 10 chapters is a meditation practice that week by week goes from the basics we are exploring here all the way to the ability to unhook from struggle itself. I also have 3 online courses that explore this journey back to ourselves and back to life, and have the wonderful support of Zoom groups and Facebook groups if that calls to you. You don't have to join those if you don't want to. But I want at least give you a glimpse of what it looks like to be with even intense states while you're meditating. As you cultivate the ability to see thought, you will discover the skill of acknowledging the content of your thoughts. For example, if your stories are talking about fear, you can then say, I see you, fear. I am here with you, and touch them with compassion. Our minds are so scared, and they have been waiting our whole life for somebody to acknowledge them without judgment. And the main person they've been waiting for is ourselves. You can also say, I see you, sadness, or I see you, anger, or shame, or loneliness, or self-pity, or overwhelm. Remember, you are not the thoughts in your head. You are that which can see them. We have formerly thought that a good meditation was getting rid of all this. But in this kind of meditation, it isn't that these states are absent. They will arise at times, but there is no pushing or pulling around them. You allow them to be there, giving them a soft, compassionate recognition. It's actually saying hello to these states of mind that formerly caused such heartache in your life. And then you return to the sanctuary of your breath. You can also learn to do this with unpleasant sensations in your body, rather than turning away from them by trying to resist them, which only causes more pain. You go towards them, exploring them with your attention. Let's say it's a tight band across your chest. You can ask yourself questions such as, how big is this band? Does it move around or stay in the same place? Does it have definite boundaries, or are they more ephemeral? Is it just on the surface, or does it go deeper into my body? These questions focus your attention on these sensations, and attention heals. You can do this with fatigue or restlessness, agitation, a sharp, sharp pain, as I've been dealing with from spine surgery. But as I previously said, don't start here in the beginning. If you do that, it will be like going to the gym for the first time and trying to work out with 100-pound weights. You will just hurt yourself and won't go back to the gym. So start with the 5 and 10 pound weights and work up. Start with the sound of a fly buzzing, or an itch on your forehead, or a slightly overly full stomach. This is why we're mainly focusing on paying attention to your breath and naming thinking when your attention is again lost in thought, and then noticing whether your thinking was in the past or the future. You need to develop your capacity to relate to these thoughts, feelings, and sensations rather than from them. As you work with these to strengthen the muscle of your attention, this is when you will be able to see and not fall into the struggles in your head. Oh my goodness, I used to live in such dread. And dread is the experience that something really bad is going to happen, and it's going to happen because I did something wrong. This dread was so strong inside of me that I tried to kill myself 3 times. But I was taught what I am sharing with you today. I was taught the phenomenal power of giving attention to what I had formerly tried to get away from. And attention heals. And I want to say that again, attention heals. It's just like when somebody gives you attention when you're having a bad day. All of a sudden, you feel better. And the kind of attention they're giving you, they're not trying to fix you or change you or give you advice or judge you or think that you're being obnoxious and I never want to hear from you again. This is the kind of attention that just listens. And you can learn how to do this with your fears, the aches in your body, your shame, your fatigue, your arrogance, your overwhelm, and even despair. The more you cultivate what we've been exploring together, the more you discover how to meet life with compassion instead of reaction and resistance. Yes, in the beginning, this is a little like you just have enough strength to walk around the block. And then you learn how to walk around 6 blocks, and then a mile, and then 5, and eventually you start preparing for a marathon. This takes time. Somebody asked my main teacher, Stephen Levine, how long does this take to unhook from struggle and come back to life? And he said, it's the work of a lifetime. And a couple of people groaned. But I will add to that, we're on this path. You are on that path because you are listening to this recording. And as far as I can see, this is the path to freedom. And taking the time to strengthen the muscle of our attention is so well worth it. Just imagine becoming smarter than struggle so that your attention can be fully here with life. This is what you most deeply long for, an intimate, alive connection with life right here, right now. And that is what we are exploring. So the practice is basically giving yourself the gift of at least 5 minutes a day. Consistency is much more important than the amount of time you meditate. And in these 5 minutes, you strengthen the muscle of your attention. It's about closing your eyes, finding your breath, actually experiencing the sensations of your breath, and then having your attention go back up into your mind, and then going back into your breath, and then going away again, and coming back as kindly as possible. And no, you're not trying to get anyplace else. You are discovering how to be here. And slowly you know there is no other place you need to be, and that the journey is much more important than the destination. So we've gone over the basic meditation using breath as the focus and learning how to notice thinking and past and future. But there are other focal points you can use to anchor your attention, such as the movements of your body. You don't need to sit in order to meditate. Jogging can be a meditation. Your daily walk can be a meditation. Your exercise routine can be a meditation. Eating your breakfast can be a meditation. While moving, meditation is all about choosing as your focus the sensations in your body. So for instance, while walking, your focus can be the experience of your feet meeting the ground. Or while jogging, your focus can be the sound of your breath or the movement of your arms. You can also use eating as meditation, truly tasting your food and coming back when you have left the experience of eating. Or you can anchor yourself in the sounds around you and within you, really listening to life as if you've never been on this planet before. That's how I started meditating, because it was way too intimate to actually be present for my breath. Or even taking a shower can be a meditation, experiencing the water in as many ways as you can, noticing when your attention goes back into planning your day, and then bringing it back to the experience of the water. Whatever focal point calls to you, here are some helpful things for giving yourself this gift on a daily basis. Try meditating at the same time every day. For most people, a few minutes first thing in the morning is good, because when our day gets going, it can be much harder to slow down and give ourselves the gift of a meditation. Start with 5 minutes. And if that's too much, go down to 2 or 3. And then slowly add a bit more every day. If you try to force yourself into a longer meditation, your mind will just resist, and then you won't continue in your practice. Be comfortable. If you're sitting, there is no right position for meditating. I know there's a lot of literature out there about what is right and what is wrong. Instead, find a comfortable position where you can sit for several minutes without getting stiff or restless. I used to sit on the floor, but I can no longer do that, so I sit in a chair. Don't try to suppress thoughts and feelings. The goal isn't to get rid of these things. Instead, acknowledge the thoughts and feelings that arise without judging them, and then gently guide your attention back to your breathing. Step back at the end and acknowledge what happened. There is no such thing as a bad meditation, and whatever showed up in that meditation is exactly what needed to be there on your journey back to yourself and back into an intimate connection with life. You can also just pause for moments throughout the day and just notice your breath or notice sounds around you. In those moments, you're pulling your attention out of the world of struggle and bringing it back to life. Can you imagine the joy that will come into your life when you have become smarter than your mind's addiction to struggle? Your mind is a wonderful tool for maneuvering through reality, but it is not reality. Rather than your mind running the show a lot of the time, you can use it for the wonderful tool it is, rather than being caught in it. So give yourself the gift of just even a short meditation every day. So slowly and surely, you can become smarter than the bubble of struggle and come back to the ocean of being, which is who you really are. Thank you for listening. And thank you for all the children that are coming after us. As you quiet your mind, open your heart, and show up for whatever is showing up, you clear the pathway for them so they don't have to be as caught as you and I were in the bubble of struggle. Namaste.